So what we've got here, Josh getting ready to start paper tuning. You can see we've got this DIY paper tune sheet. It's probably a little much. The backdrop back here is pretty much just a bag target with a rhino behind it. Rhino target, which bag target's fairly cheap, but it's coming to pieces, and I don't like the bag targets anyway. So as Josh gets set up, he's gonna take his first shots through the paper. We'll see. When you paper tune, a couple things to keep in mind always. You want to make sure that your paper is at a decent distance between the target. You can see my crap behind there. It's making me a little bit self-conscious. Maybe we'll edit this part out. But make sure that the paper has distance so that when the arrow impacts the target, that it's already through the paper completely. All right, Josh is set up. Every time we paper tune, it's 5 to 7 feet from the paper. Let's see what.
5 to 7 feet or 5 to 7?
5 to 7 feet is what they usually say. I mean, it can be farther.
All right.
First shots. That's freaking quiet. So you can see it's actually not a bad tear, maybe a little rest low and maybe a little tail right. Slightly.
Let me throw another shower through just to make sure those strings are settling in after timing it.
So remember when we talked about the sickness, this is where it begins.
So a lot of times you'll see guys, and I'm not trying to be critical of anybody, but you see guys go ahead and put some twists in their string to do some timing adjustment. They'll go shoot one shot, bullet hole, you're good to go. In my experience, the strings will settle after you put a twist or take a twist out. They'll settle. And it takes a couple shots to do that before you, at least for me, I want to see it at least a couple times before I make any changes.
How's that draw?
It's actually pretty smooth. So it's a slightly different tear.
Just a little bit different tear. It's showing. One of the things that you want to make sure too when you're paper tuning, you want to make sure you have the correct spined arrow. If you overspine, if you underspine, you can get different results. And I've seen actually even different results for different types of arrows too. And we can talk about that too in the future. So Josh is probably going to take a few shots just to make sure.
Drives me nuts when they just take one shot, see a bullet, and they're done. That's not how we usually end up tuning our bow.
Was that this one? Yeah, that's. So actually, if you look, you got two opposite tears. We haven't made any adjustment to the rest yet. So we still haven't decided exactly what we're gonna do if we did make any adjustments. And that's kind of what he's talking about when you see guys take a shot. Now the difference can be completely related to the shooter too, because of the different grip pressures. And to Josh's credit, he hasn't, I don't think he's owned a Matthews before.
No. This is the first Matthews I've ever owned.
The grips are a little bit different on the Halons.
I actually like the way the grip feels.
And that's almost pretty much, it's still, so on all of these shots, the thing that I'm seeing, And this is important too, is you find a consistent theme. So every one of these shots shows a little bit of rest low, if that makes any sense. It should make sense because that's what it So if anything, what Josh is going to do right now is he's going to take the rest up a little bit, see if we can't get the tip of the arrow more in line with the back of the arrow. And that's basically all we're trying to do with paper tuning. Either whether it be right or left. And I'm guessing that we won't have to do much right or left. That was a pretty good guess, eyeball shot with the center shot. So did you move your rest up at all?
Yep.
Let's take another shot.
This is where, like he was saying, this is where the sickness comes into play. You know, I've watched a lot of paper tuning videos on YouTube, and it's like 1-2 shots and they've got it done. And rarely have I ever had that happen. And I don't know if that's just
our luck
or our lack of experience, or if somebody's just editing out the challenges that they face when they're tuning.
So it's still showing a little bit tip low. So what he's going to do is bring that rest up just a little bit with those 2 shots. Luckily we got tools all over the place. And and what I've learned also is that any adjustments that you make with your rest, it should be minor. Start like a 16th or a 32nd when you move your rest. Don't go ham sauce. Yeah. Show my target like devouring your arrows.
Not letting go.
So Maxima, your freaking bag targets suck. That's what happens when you fill them full of fish nets. Anyway, this
should be placing my bow on a wobbly cardboard box.
We'll edit this part out. Maybe this will be the good stuff though. And it's actually Sportsman's is the brand.
Sportsman's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. It says Maxima. Then I bought it from Sportsman's. No knock on the Sportsman's. Actually, Christopher works at Sportsman's. He was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
The bullet.
Ooh. See, Josh has this habit of putting every arrow like in the same spot, so I can't tell where it goes. But at least he's watching where they go, I guess.
I'll put this one in a different spot.
We'll see. He says that.
I think we've got it pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nope.
No, that's actually, I mean, I don't mind it. You got a bear shaft?
I do.
So here's the real test too. I'm gonna throw a bear shaft through it. And really, it was actually Josh that actually got me to start bare shaft tuning. I was pretty much satisfied until he started doing it, and then then we all got crazy.
We all got really sick in the head.
So if you see that, actually it's not bad, but we've got a little bit of,
Looks like it.
a little bit of, maybe a little tip low still.
Okay, we'll bring it up just a little more.
So the good news is when you start having trouble reading what you have, that means you're getting close. And actually, Josh, how many bows have you set up that you can do this that quick with?
I've only had this happen one. Let's see, maybe one other time that it was quicker. And that was, you know, one of the top shelf bows.
Come on, you can say names. Here, you're gonna have to
pull. Yeah. This is where we're gonna have to. Okay, so he was asking me about how have I, if I've been ever been. He was asking me if I've ever been able to get this, get a bow tuned this quickly. And, you know, we've got what, a dozen holes in the paper right there. That's still pretty quick. I think I did that with my Defiant, my Carbon Defiant. I got it tuned within I had it shooting bullets within 4 shots. That's pretty close. I mean, for a bare shaft, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
I think that's close enough. So, explain the process after we've got a fairly decent bullet with a bare shaft. What do you do next?
so if I'm getting a bullet like this consistently with a bare shaft, I'm ready to do some walk back tuning. And the only reason why I'm not trying to tune this slightly low tear out is because I'm going to be adjusting more as I go out and do my walk back. Now, I might not be raising my rest much when I do that, but we'll see how it shoots. The most important thing for me is what it does on the target point of impact.
Consistently.
Consistently, yes. But this is the way that you'll get there quickest. And we can, but it's
So
not the end
a little more shooting, no adjustment. This last hole right here is where we ended up. Looks pretty much like a bullet, bare shaft bullet right there. All right, so kind of a brief synopsis of just finishing up this video, or maybe even like this series of videos, depending on how long it turns out to be. Number one, just who we are, what we're doing. Like I said, just a couple of regular guys. I mean, as regular as they come, and things that we found, things that work good for us. And maybe if you've got some suggestions when you see this content, say, hey, I saw you guys doing this way. There's a better way to do it. Please just let us know. Like I said, there's several other different things that we wanted to cover, some of the things that we put together that you can just do it yourself. Also showing the process that we do, that we've kind of developed over a little bit of time, and all of that is pretty much subject to change. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I just, you know, first Matthews I've ever owned. Initial impressions, it's a very, very smooth. The draw is very smooth, and it's actually cooking pretty good at, you know, 72 pounds with a 523 grain arrow. At our first chrono was 292, and then we got pretty consistently in the 280s. Which is pretty respectable. It tuned pretty well, pretty quick. We showed you the process. We're not going to cut any of that stuff out and try to make it look like we got it tuned in 2 or 3 shots. All in all, we didn't have to change any center shot. We didn't have to mess with the top hat. We didn't have to do anything but move the rest a couple of times, and then I was able to get a bare shaft bullet. So look for more content on this specific bow build. We're planning on doing some walk back tuning. This would be the process that we would go through with any hunting or 3D target setup that we'd ever want to use. Just the process of getting it all dialed in so that we can feel confident in getting out there and be able to shoot the way we want to shoot.
So yeah, if you've got any suggestions on content you want us to cover, let us know.
Yep.
And here we are with the sickness.
Like, subscribe, comment, do it all. You know the drill.
Thanks.